The e-commerce payment market is in a very, very exciting stage of the market because it's in a nascent stage and there are a lot of new things that are happening in the marketplace. We are one of the best payment options on the online space in the world today. Even the Western countries are looking at us with envious eyes when we look at online payment options. We got the best range. The Indian customer has never had it so good in terms of online payments. Largely the reason for that is that RBI has been very, very progressive in its approach to encouraging payment options, and at the same time the balance of making sure that the consumer is safe is done that tightrope walk very, very well. As a payment facilitator, CCO is very, very clear that to make the matters good for the customer, it needs to create a platform where all the payment options can operate freely and let the customer choose one payment option over the other. As new methods come in, new technologies come in, new payment options come in, new payment methods come in, and when they get integrated into our merchant base, which is one of the largest in the country, the customer is the winner, merchant is the winner, and the payment option is the winner. How is it growing? It's growing at about 80-85% year on year, and that's a very, very healthy growth rate for the marketplace. That's way too long. If the industry is only 10 years old roughly, right? In 10 years we've seen this kind of a trajectory. What I can only say is that it's growing in the past 2-3 years. It's taking off in an exponential manner. So in the next 5 years we're going to see a whole new generation of technology in terms of payment options, which includes mobile, which includes offline methods, which includes financial inclusion methods which come into the mainstream, and all I can say is for the consumer, it's going to be a great ride. There are 2 or 3 reasons for this. First of all, the Indian consumer, his mindset is unlike the Western consumer, right? He would not want to owe money to anybody. It's alien to his nature. So an Indian customer would say that this is the amount of money I have in my bank account and that's what I'm going to be able to pay. If I don't have money, I won't buy it. As simple as that. So a credit card means owing money. Debit card, net banking means I have the money and I'll buy it. That's the first reason. Second is, of course, the credit card penetration could be larger, could be deeper. It's not yet got in that depth. I think there's a phase in between where credit card penetration was very strongly accelerated by the banks, but the fraud rates went up. Bad card debts went up very bad. So they've now rationalized the whole thing and it's a fairly smooth operation now. So they're very choosy about who they give their credit card to. So credit cards will continue to grow, but it will grow at a slower pace. See, what's happening is because it's a nascent industry, there are new business models that are coming in, there are new payment options that are coming in. All these payment options are unique in character in the sense from a consumer's perspective, they represent something and they fulfill a certain need. A credit card fulfills a certain need, a debit card fulfills a certain need, net banking fulfills another need, and it all comes down to what the consumer believes works for him and how it works for him. The convenience of a net banking is very, very popular, but trouble is I have to remember my password. The convenience of an ATM card is even better because I withdraw cash all the time, therefore the ATM pin is easily remembered. So if I look at purely at convenience, right, then there is, I would rate it as ATM card will be the best, followed by net banking, followed by credit card, because now credit cards, the mandate is that I should know the verified by Visa and the MasterCard secure code. So these 2 barriers, I would call it, would prevent somebody from buying online freely. The answer, pure percentage term, will be very simplistic, simply because there are different business models and each payment option's unique character applies better for one business model over the other, right? So if I'm buying a movie ticket, for example, a mobile payment would be far more convenient for me than one out there, right? So if I were to just aggregate everything and put across a number, I would say that the debit card piece and the net banking is the largest share. We would say something like 65%, followed by credit cards, followed by mobile phones and cash cards, then mobile phones. As mobile phone becomes easier and easier to pay, and if the regulation environment is right, then mobile phones could overtake everything else to become maybe a number 2 share in the payment space. The challenge is that people look at the number, 680 million, 700 million, there's a kind of number that's floated around, and they have huge expectations from mobile. The reality is that 94% of those are prepaid, right? So the mobile instrument is not really a very key instrument to authenticate an individual, first of all. Secondly, the bulk of the mobile phones out there are actually the low-end instruments. They're not the web-enabled instruments. So again, that's a challenge, because if I were to use mobile as a payment option, okay, doable through SMS or maybe an IVR, but if I were to look at mobile as a sales tool for me to sell my products over the internet, it will be very difficult because the interface doesn't allow that. So very clearly what we're saying is, if your question is related to payment option as mobile, then I would say that IVR is the best bet today, because the IVR offers the best security in terms of being able to pay online. As and when RBI regulates, loosens up, when P2P payments happen through the mobile phone, that will be the next biggest room for payments. So till that happens, I think mobile will still be a distance away. Of course it does, because the sheer number of instruments out there makes that a possibility. However, one has to look at the numbers of people who actually hold a mobile and have the ability to pay. I think that's the key thing to look at, because unless that is analyzed, it's very, very difficult to be able to put a number. There are two aspects to the whole thing. At a discussion level, is an OTP a good thing? Yes, it is, because if it ensures security of the transaction, then it's a good thing to happen. So as a concept, we are very, very clear that OTP is a very, very good thing to happen. However, the delivery system of the OTP in terms of operations is really what needs to be tweaked. Because unless that delivery system happens where it is instantaneous, then the thing won't work. So I think the challenge is not the OTP, but the operation and the delivery system of the OTP. There are 3 or 4 things which are making online fraud today a big headache. First of all, awareness of the consumers about payment options online and the importance of protecting the password and not sharing it. I think the very first level of leak of your funds happen from there. It's very, very easy for online fraudsters today to grab somebody's personal identity and passwords and use it on the internet to make transactions. So awareness of consumers is the very, very first step. Secondly, look at where the leaks are happening. Leaks are usually happening by phishing sites and phishing operations that take place. Phishing operations take place at mobile phones and telephone level and at the website level. It's very easy for someone to put up a 10,000 rupee mobile and offer it for 1,000 rupees, and for a person to then fall into the trap of buying that online, paying for it, passing on the password without checking the credentials of the website. And it's easy for a person to give him a failed transaction, the customer has forgotten about it, and the next thing you know, his entire data has been used online by fraudsters for something else. So checking on the websites as to who are the websites who come online, and so there needs to be a mechanism which needs to check the credentials of the website and then certify those websites so that the customer can check what those websites are, whether they're genuine or not, and then do a transaction online. That's the second part. And the third part, of course, is authentication processes from the banks and the payment ecosystem. It needs to be tight and make sure they happen. Payment ecosystem needs to work towards creating a single common authentication protocol wherein it's easy for a customer to remember one number, one password, and pass on the whole thing to the whatever payment option he chooses. It's difficult to share the number because those numbers are looked at, but we have, if 12,500 is our estimation of the market size, we roughly hold about 85 to 90% of that merchant base. What happens is that the merchant adoption rate has gone up pretty high now in the past 2-3 quarters. There's a huge amount of acceleration of adoption of merchants, and the merchant adoption rate has gone by about 200 to 300% in the past few quarters. So that acceleration is a sign that e-commerce is coming into its own now in India, and the very large share of the merchants that are going to come on are the brick and mortar merchants which are today not online. Brands that you and I trust today are not online. When they come online, the e-commerce will really evolve in this country. Like I said, I think there are excellent and very, very exciting new models that are coming out in the marketplace, and we foresee that in the next few months we're going to have a lot of government payments coming in as the utilities that are going to be a part of the payment network online. We see a lot of micro-payment related transactions happening. So wherever business models which just thrive on micro-payments will go online very well. We also see a lot of brick and mortar merchants coming online. I think they are one of the biggest sectors that we're going to see in the next few years to come. So overall, if I were to give you some numbers, we have 1.2 crore small merchant establishments in the country for our side, which is a fairly good number. But if I were to look at the online websites, we're looking at 12,000-13,000 websites which are online, which is less than point something percent, So when that global average about 20% or so comes in, the number of merchants then go up to about 20-25 lakhs. That's when we look at e-commerce really coming into it, and that's the real potential of this country. So it's very, very exciting times ahead, and entrepreneurs need to look at business models and come into the space early so that they have the first mover advantage. That's what I would say.